Imagine this: you find yourself in a foreign city with no money, no friends, and unable to communicate in the local language. The streets are unfamiliar, the sounds overwhelming, and the sense of isolation is profound. Panic, fear, and helplessness set in, intensifying with each passing moment. The situation appears insurmountable, leaving you feeling lost and in despair. Now, envision that there's a philosophy that can turn this distressing scenario into an empowering and peaceful journey. Welcome to Stoicism, an ancient philosophy designed to equip you with the tools to thrive in even the most daunting situations. In this guide, we will delve into how Stoicism can help you find serenity in chaos, convert obstacles into opportunities, and develop a resilient mindset to endure life's hardest trials. Stoicism isn't merely a set of theories, it's a pragmatic approach to life. By embracing its tenets, you can learn to remain calm and composed under pressure, discover joy and meaning in every situation, no matter how challenging, and transform difficulties into valuable life lessons. This guide is your doorway to a life that's more satisfying, peaceful, and empowered. Let's begin. Stoicism teaches that some things are within our control, while others are not. Our choices, desires, aversions, and actions are ours to command. In contrast, external things like our bodies, possessions, reputation, and careers are beyond our direct control. Understanding this difference is crucial. Remember, if you believe that something inherently uncontrollable is within your control, you set yourself up for frustration, anger, and disappointment. You'll blame others, even fate, for your misfortunes. However, if you focus only on what truly is within your control and accept the external as it is, you gain empowerment. No one can compel you against your will, no one can hinder you. You won't hold grudges, find fault, or suffer harm, as true harm is beyond the reach of external factors. Recognizing the nature of what you can and cannot control helps to define your responses and choices. Every time you encounter an external impression, remind yourself, this is just an external impression, not what it appears to be. Examine it through the lens of Stoicism, primarily discerning if it pertains to something within your control or not. If it relates to what's beyond your control, prepare to say, this is nothing to me. Desire promises the attainment of what you wish for, while aversion seeks to avoid what you dislike. To be fortunate in Stoicism is to succeed in your desires and avoid your aversions. But true fortune arises when you only desire what's within your control and avert what's naturally avoidable in that realm. By doing this, you won't fall into the trap of desiring what's uncontrollable. If you strive for external goals like status or wealth, you may miss both, as your attention is divided. Focus on what offers true freedom and happiness, which lies in the realm of what you can control. The first step is to reject negative external impressions as irrelevant, then test them against Stoic principles, focusing solely on what's within your realm of influence. Thus, Stoicism teaches us that our true power lies in our ability to choose our response to whatever life throws at us. It's about finding inner peace and happiness, not dependent on external circumstances, but rooted in our ability to control our perceptions, intentions, and actions. By living a Stoic life, we cultivate resilience, wisdom, and a profound sense of fulfillment, regardless of external challenges. The Stoic approach teaches us to let go of aversion towards things beyond our control, like sickness, death, or hunger. Trying to avoid these inevitable aspects of life only leads to suffering. Instead, Stoicism encourages focusing our aversion on unusual things within our control, but with a mindset of detachment and flexibility. Regarding desire, Stoicism advises against longing for what we cannot control. Desiring such things inevitably leads to disappointment, as their attainment is not within our power. Conversely, while it's appropriate to desire things within our control, it should be done with caution and without compulsion. Our choices and aversions should be exercised gently, with an awareness of potential uncertainty. Stoicism also teaches us the importance of understanding the nature of things and maintaining perspective. For example, if you enjoy a jug, acknowledge it simply as a jug, so that if it breaks, you aren't unduly distressed. Similarly, when expressing affection towards loved ones, remember their human nature and the inevitability of death, to prepare yourself emotionally for any loss. when embarking on any activity, Stoicism suggests preparing yourself for potential challenges. For instance, before going to a public bath, anticipate the annoyances you might encounter. This preparation helps in maintaining composure when faced with obstacles. The goal is not just to complete the task, like bathing, but also to keep your moral purpose in harmony with nature. If an impediment arises, you can remain content, knowing that your primary objective, maintaining moral integrity, is still achieved. Stoicism emphasizes that it's not external events that disturb us, but our perceptions of them. For example, death in itself is not dreadful, it's the belief that death is dreadful that causes fear. Socrates concurred that it's not death that's terrible, but the fear of death. Hence, when faced with delays, frustrations, or sadness, Stoicism teaches us not to blame others or external circumstances, but to examine and adjust our internal responses. In summary, Stoicism provides a framework for managing our desires, aversions, and reactions to life's challenges. It teaches us to understand the nature of things, prepare for potential difficulties, and maintain a perspective that aligns with our moral values. By doing so, we cultivate inner peace and resilience, empowering us to face life's unpredictabilities with grace and composure. This Stoic wisdom not only helps us to navigate the external world more effectively, but also enriches our internal world, fostering a life of virtue, contentment, and harmony with nature. Stoicism and personal responsibility. Stoicism teaches that our own decisions, not external circumstances or other people, are what truly affect us. When someone lacks wisdom, they may blame others for their misfortunes, but the first step to enlightenment is learning to take responsibility for oneself. A truly educated person doesn't blame others or even themselves, understanding that external events are beyond control. Don't take pride in things that aren't inherently yours. For example, if you have a beautiful horse, your joy comes from something external, the horse's beauty, not your own. Recognize what truly belongs to you, your actions, your choices, your thoughts. Finding happiness in harmony with nature. True happiness aligns with nature when we use external events in a way that matches our moral purpose. Imagine you're on a journey and stop to collect fresh water. Along the way, you might find small pleasures like a shellfish or a bulb. However, you must always be ready to return to your ship when called, abandoning these distractions. Similarly, in life, we may find joy in relationships or possessions, but we must be prepared to let go if necessary, focusing on what's truly important. In the face of adversity, remember that problems affect the body, not your moral purpose. Just as lameness is an issue for the leg but not for the person's character, external misfortunes don't impede your moral judgment and actions. When obstacles arise, recognize that they may hinder one aspect of life but not your entire being. Approach life as you would a formal dinner. Take what is offered when it reaches you, but don't cling to it or yearn for what hasn't come yet. Apply this philosophy to your family, career, and possessions, and you'll be ready to partake in the divine feast. Be wary of becoming too attached to external things, even when they're readily available. Distance yourself from them, and you will not only partake in the divine feast but also share in the divine rule. When encountering others facing hardships, such as someone grieving a loss, it's crucial to understand that it's their perception and response to the event that causes suffering, not the event itself. While it's important to offer sympathy and support, we should also maintain the Stoic perspective that external events don't have intrinsic power over our internal state. In practicing Stoicism, we learn to respond to life's challenges with resilience and equanimity. We understand that our happiness and peace come from how we choose to perceive and react to the world around us. This philosophy empowers us to live with a sense of purpose and contentment, regardless of external circumstances, cultivating a life in harmony with our deepest values and virtues. Always remember not to let frustration affect you in your journey of life. Think of yourself as a character in a play, with your role determined by fate. Whether you're a public figure or an ordinary person, strive to excel in the role assigned to you, even if it wasn't your choice. When faced with adversity or unfavorable circumstances, don't let external influences dictate your happiness. Instead, maintain a clear distinction in your mind, reminding yourself that these signs are not a reflection of your true self but pertain to your physical body, possessions, opinions, family, or others. Embrace every situation as an opportunity for growth, regardless of whether it appears to be under your control. Avoid competing in games where winning depends on factors beyond your influence. Be cautious not to be enamored by the appearances of respected individuals, for true happiness lies in mastering your own mind. Don't aspire to positions of power or fame, aspire to be a free individual. Disregard things beyond your control, and remember that insults and injuries are not personal attacks, they are your own interpretations. Next time someone annoys you, recognize that it's your perception causing your anger. Strive to remain impervious to external judgments, for gaining mastery over your own reactions is the path to self-mastery. Contemplate the inevitability of death and other fearsome aspects of life daily, as this will make death seem less daunting, and you will desire nothing more. If you wish to pursue philosophy, be prepared for ridicule and skepticism, but stick to your beliefs. People will eventually admire you for your consistency. If you seek happiness through external validation, you have strayed from the true path. Find contentment in being a philosopher in all aspects of life, and prove to yourself that you are one. Don't let these concerns trouble you, live without the need for honor or recognition, and be content in your own skin. After all, not having honor is not a stain on your character, just as shame doesn't define you. Your focus should be on what you can control, your inner values, and your integrity. Do not expect your friends to provide you with material assistance. Instead, understand that you cannot grant them wealth or Roman citizenship, as these are beyond your control. Focus on maintaining your integrity, loyalty, and moral character, as these qualities are within your grasp. If a friend asks for financial help, show them the path to earning it while preserving their integrity, loyalty, and moral values. Ask them whether they would prefer wealth over a loyal friend who respects their worth. Help them achieve the goals without compromising these essential traits. Do not be envious if someone else receives more praise or attention at a dinner party or when asked for advice. Be content when others receive recognition for their good deeds, and don't fret over not receiving the same. Remember that deserving equal rewards requires equal efforts in pursuing things that are beyond our control. Understand that to receive certain benefits, you must be willing to put in the effort, just as a person who doesn't knock on doors cannot expect the same rewards as someone who does. Unfairness and greed arise if you desire the rewards without paying the necessary price. Consider the cost of obtaining certain benefits, like the price of a head of lettuce. If you don't pay that price, don't be dismayed if you don't receive the reward. Someone who sacrifices the no ball to obtain a head of lettuce shouldn't be compared to you, who still possesses your no ball. In real life, if you weren't invited to a dinner party, it's likely because you didn't express your appreciation for the host's hospitality or contribute to the occasion. People value recognition and attention, therefore, offer what is rightfully due if you seek to be invited and appreciated. Seeking both things without sacrificing either indicates greed and foolishness. Regarding dinner plans, it seems you have them already. There's no need to commend someone you don't wish to, nor tolerate the discourteous doorkeepers. Just as a mark isn't made to be overlooked, evil doesn't spontaneously manifest in the world. It's perplexing why anyone would become irate if offered someone's physical presence, yet you indiscriminately share your intellect with anyone, resulting in agitation and distress. Shouldn't this prompt introspection before action? Consider the consequences before engaging in any endeavor. Initially, you might be enthusiastic, lacking foresight into subsequent challenges, which could lead to a disgraceful abandonment of your pursuit. Contemplate winning an Olympic medal. It's an admirable goal, but reflect on the prerequisites and subsequent commitments. Embarking on an athletic career requires adherence to regulations, a stringent diet, abstaining from delicacies, and training consistently in varying weather. Avoiding wine and cold water on a whim, and dedicating full attention to your coach, akin to a physician, are essential. In competition, you'll face physical challenges, grappling with an opponent, potential injuries, and enduring hardships. Fully aware of these aspects, you can proceed. Otherwise, you're as indecisive as children play acting various roles without commitment. Similarly, you dabble in athletics, warfare, rhetoric, and philosophy, imitating everything passionately. Like a mimic, constantly attracted to novelties without diligent pursuit or thoughtful consideration. Just as some aspire to philosophy after encountering a charismatic philosopher like Euphrates, first understand the essence of what you're undertaking and whether it's within your capabilities. Consider your natural aptitudes. Are you better suited as a pentathlete or a wrestler? Examine your physique and strengths. Persisting in your current lifestyle of indulgence and uncontrolled emotions is incompatible with serious commitment. Prepare for rigorous discipline, isolation, and potential scorn, even from those of lesser status. Recognize that you might be subject to ridicule and disadvantaged in social and professional spheres. If you're unwilling to forsake these comforts for serenity, freedom, and tranquility, then philosophy may not be your path. Avoid being fickle, shifting from scholar to tax collector, then rhetorician, and perhaps even an official. These roles are incongruent. You must choose a singular path, virtuous or otherwise. Focus on refining your personal ethos or engage with the external world, but not both. Typically, societal roles dictate our responsibilities. In familial relationships, for example, care and obedience are expected, even in the face of adversity or mistreatment. If your father isn't ideal, remember that nature didn't necessarily pair you with a good father, but simply a father. When dealing with a harmful brother, maintain your relationship without dwelling on his actions. Focus instead on aligning your own behavior with moral principles. Remember, you only feel harmed when you believe you are. By not granting others the power to hurt you, you maintain control. Habitually examining your social roles helps anticipate behaviors from neighbors, citizens, or military officers. In terms of religious devotion, the key is to believe in the God's existence and that they govern the universe justly. Commit to obeying them and accepting all occurrences, trusting in a higher intelligence. This mindset prevents you from accusing the gods of neglect. Achieving this requires shifting your perception of good and bad from uncontrollable external events to things within your control. Believing that external events are inherently good or bad leads to blaming others when things don't go as desired, as it's natural to shun perceived threats and gravitate towards benefits. For instance, a son may resent a father who restricts access to perceived goods. This was the case with Polis and Eos, whose desire for royal power turned them against each other. Similarly, farmers, sailors, traders, and those who've lost loved ones may resent the gods, as faith often aligns with personal interests. However, managing desires and fears appropriately also guides one's faith. Nevertheless, it's proper to perform religious rituals like our ancestors, doing so with sincerity and within our means. Regarding divination, approach without preconceived notions of the problem. As a philosopher, you should understand that uncontrollable events are neither good nor bad. Approach divination without fear or desire, ready to use any outcome beneficially. When seeking advice, remember whose counsel you trust and disregard those you don't. Follow Socrates' view on divination, use it only when the outcome is uncertain and cannot be determined by reason or skill. Therefore, don't consult a seer about obligations to friends or country in times of danger. If a diviner predicts negative outcomes, remember your duty remains unchanged. Despite potential risks, it's crucial to support your friends and stand alongside your country. Heed the wisdom of the god Apollo, who expelled a man from his temple for failing to assist a friend in peril. Establish and maintain a consistent character, whether alone or in the company of others. Aim to speak seldom, and when you do, let your words be brief, infrequent, and pertinent. Engage in conversation when necessary, but avoid mundane topics such as gladiators, races, sports, food, drinks, or commonplace matters. Most importantly, refrain from discussing others, whether in criticism, support, or comparison. Prioritize listening over speaking, especially in the company of friends. When among strangers, opt for silence and moderate your laughter. Avoid making promises when possible, but if unavoidable, try to limit them. Distance yourself from entertainment provided by those unfamiliar with philosophy. If you must attend, be cautious not to emulate their behavior, as association can taint even the purest individual. Limit your indulgence in physical comforts to necessities like food, drink, clothing, shelter, and basic domestic help, avoiding extravagance and luxury. Regarding personal relationships, strive for chastity before marriage and lawful conduct if engaging in sexual activity. However, do not condemn or restrict those who choose to indulge, nor boast about your own restraint. If accused of negative behavior, don't defend yourself. Instead, acknowledge the criticism, humorously suggesting the accuser is unaware of your other faults. Generally, public spectacles and shows are unnecessary for your attendance. If an opportunity arises to attend a public event, demonstrate self-restraint, showing that your primary interest lies in self-improvement. This attitude reveals your discernment and lack of easy impressibility. When considering attending others' public readings, do so sparingly and with dignity, ensuring you do not become a source of discomfort to others. Before meeting someone you deeply respect, contemplate how philosophical figures like Socrates or Zeno might act in that situation. This reflection can guide your behavior to make the most of the encounter. When visiting influential individuals, prepare for potential dismissals or indifference. If you must proceed, accept whatever outcome gracefully, avoiding the mindset that it was a waste of effort, which is a sign of external dependency. Understand that others may not find your travel stories as engaging as you do. Therefore, discuss your experiences and risk sparingly and without excessive elaboration. Avoid loud laughter, as it can be perceived as impolite and alienate those around you. Similarly, refrain from using offensive language. If someone else uses inappropriate language, respond with a timely reprimand if appropriate, or otherwise show disapproval through silence, blushing, or frowning. When experiencing external pleasures, maintain control and avoid being overwhelmed. Consider the potential regret following indulgence versus the satisfaction of abstention. If you decide to indulge, remain conscious of the temptation's allure and take pride in overcoming it. Be transparent about your actions, especially if they are aligned with your convictions, even if they might not be widely accepted. Do not engage in wrongful acts, but if your actions are justified, there's no need to fear misguided criticism. Understand that day and night hold distinct meanings and are defined by their separation. This metaphor can apply to discerning right from wrong and acting accordingly. Just as day and night lose their distinctiveness when merged, overindulging at meals may benefit your body but can harm social harmony. When dining with others, balance the consideration for the food before you with respect for your host. Engaging in activities beyond your competence not only exposes your inadequacies in those areas but also detracts from your proficiency in what you excel at. Protect your guiding principles with the same vigilance you would use to avoid physical harm, like stepping on a nail or twisting an ankle. The foot is a standard for the shoe, just as the body is for a man. By adhering to appropriate measures, you maintain balance. Those who exceed these limits inevitably face consequences. Excess leads to extravagance, as seen in the progression from a basic shoe to one adorned with gold, purple, and intricate embroidery, signifying the lack of restraint once limits are surpassed. When girls reach adolescence, they often become overly concerned with appearance and male attention, equating their worth with physical attractiveness. It's crucial to emphasize the value of modesty and self-respect. Men, too, can become preoccupied with physical pursuits like exercise, eating, and other bodily functions, but these should be managed briefly and without excess focus. The primary attention should be on cultivating the mind. When others speak ill of you or treat you poorly, understand that they do so believing it's the right thing according to their perspective. They cannot align with your notions of good. The person deceived by a false judgment is the one who truly suffers. Approaching such situations with this mindset allows you to respond with kindness, recognizing their misunderstanding. Every situation has two handles, one that should be used and one that shouldn't. If wronged by your brother, don't focus on his mistake or other negative aspects, but remember your familial bond and shared upbringing. This perspective lets you address the situation constructively. When comparing yourself with others, such as being wealthier or more eloquent, it's more accurate to say your possessions or skills are superior, not you as a person. Remember, you are neither your wealth nor your eloquence. In judging others' actions, like bathing hastily or consuming much wine, refrain from labeling these actions as inherently bad without understanding the reasons behind them. This approach prevents premature judgments and fosters a more objective perspective on others' behaviors. Remember, never label yourself a philosopher, and generally avoid discussing philosophical principles with others. Instead, embody these principles through your actions. For example, rather than lecturing others on how to eat, simply eat modestly yourself. Recall how Socrates eliminated any hint of pretense, attracting people to philosophy through his humility and ability to remain inconspicuous. If someone unversed in philosophy brings up a philosophical topic, it's often better to remain silent, as you might prematurely express half-digested ideas. Being accused of ignorance shouldn't bother you. It can be a sign of progress in your philosophical journey. Consider how sheep don't show the shepherd how much they've eaten. They internalize their food and produce wool and milk. Similarly, don't flaunt your philosophical knowledge. Let others observe the outcomes of your principles in action. In living simply and meeting basic needs, avoid boasting about practices like drinking only water. If you're striving to improve physical endurance, it's best to train in solitude. If you do drink cold water when extremely thirsty, do so discreetly without drawing attention. A layperson often seeks external sources for help or blame, whereas a philosopher looks within for both the good and bad. Signs of true progress include not seeking external approval, avoiding self-praise, and not blaming others for one's difficulties. Someone advancing in philosophy doesn't boast about their knowledge or achievements. Instead, they quietly acknowledge compliments, knowing that true value lies in their personal development and actions. If criticized, a wise person does not defensively retort but moves cautiously, as if nurturing a healing injury, avoiding further harm. His desires are tempered, focusing aversion solely on things within his control that contradict nature. Being perceived as ignorant or unaware is inconsequential when it comes to matters outside his choice. Regarding complex texts like those of Cruciferus, remind yourself that if Cruciferus hadn't written obscurely, there would be nothing to boast about understanding. The goal is to align with nature, requiring translation of these difficult writings. If someone can interpret Cruciferus, the next step is to apply their insights, not just to boast about understanding. Being a language expert is not the same as being a philosopher. When encouraged to read Metrosivis, feel embarrassed rather than proud if you can't demonstrate actions consistent with his teachings. Principles presented to you should be followed as if they were moral imperatives. Don't concern yourself with others' opinions, as they are beyond your control. Recognize that you are deserving of the best and capable of adhering to the rational principles you accept. Don't wait for another teacher. As an adult, it's your responsibility to progress. Avoid complacency and procrastination. Living without self-awareness means remaining an amateur in life. Resolve to live as a progressing adult. Treat your convictions as inviolable rules. When faced with challenges, whether easy or difficult, pleasant or unpleasant, known or unknown, remember you're in a race akin to the Olympic Games. Time is of the essence, and each action can lead to success or failure. This was the secret to Socrates' stature. He focused solely on what mattered, disregarding trivialities. In your journey, understand that adherence to reason and personal growth should be your guiding principles. Embrace the challenges as part of your growth process, knowing that each step, whether easy or hard, contributes to your development. As Socrates exemplified, it's not the accumulation of knowledge for its own sake that matters, but the practical application of this knowledge in living a virtuous life. Therefore, make a firm decision to live according to your highest ideals, viewing every moment as an opportunity for progress. Each situation is a test, a chance to apply your principles and demonstrate your commitment to living a reasoned and meaningful life. This approach transforms every aspect of existence into a significant endeavor, ensuring that you don't just pass through life, but actively shape it in accordance with your highest values. To emulate Socrates, one must live by the principles he espoused, even if one has not yet achieved his level of wisdom. In philosophy, the primary division is the application of principles, such as the injunction against lying. This is foundational. The subsequent division involves understanding the arguments supporting these principles, why, for example, we should not lie. The third division involves the technical aspects of these arguments, such as defining proof, understanding logical outcomes, distinguishing truth from falsehood, and so on. Therefore, the second division necessitates the third, and the first underpins the second. However, the most critical is the first, the practical application of principles.